Capital One has officially gone insane, and lucky for all of you, you get to join me on an amazing journey full of roller coaster ups and downs about what this actually means for you. Because as you're about to see, I'm not even quite sure anymore how Capital One decides to approve or deny people for their cards. So come along with me because our fascinating journey together begins now. Oh, and also for any of you who saw this video before, keep what happened in mind as we go along here because it'll sound very familiar. And for those of you who did not see that video, don't worry, I'll catch you up to speed. So this whole journey started as a very normal day. By that I mean, I wanted another credit card. So I decided to try my luck and go for one. On Capital One's site, they got a whole bunch of Spark business cards. I saw this one here, the Spark 2% cash, and saw an amazing offer that worked for my spend. I could earn $1,000 of bonus cash back after spending $10K in the first 3 months. And with business expenses coming soon, that would be great for me. The card also normally has a $95 annual fee, and even that was waived in the first year. So on the right hand side of the screen there was a beautiful Apply Now button, so I tapped on that. But do keep in mind here that my Experian credit report was actually frozen. That's because at least historically, Capital One has allowed people to get approved for their cards if one bureau is frozen. And since I have the greatest number of new inquiries on my Experian report, I decided to freeze that so Capital One could be shielded from it and not see all those inquiries. Displaying this all visually for you, Experian there is freezing in the snow, while the other two, Equifax and TransUnion, would be fully accessible for Capital One to pull. I then went ahead with the normal application procedures, filling out the application, all the crazy stuff they ask for, both personally and on the business side. Because in case you weren't aware, for small business credit cards with most banks, they still pull your personal credit. If you want those no PG or no personal guarantee cards, those tend to be more on the corporate card side, which are still classified differently. So anyway, filled all that out, submitted the application, and while it was thinking, I got a couple alerts here. This is from Aura. Capital One checked my credit through TransUnion, as expected, and they also checked it through Equifax, as expected. And those were the two reports that were open, so Capital One had full access to all that. No notification came through for Experian, which also was expected because that was the one that was frozen, so I knew the freeze worked. And then I got the result I did not want. Jeffrey, my true first name. We couldn't approve you for the Spark Cash card you applied for, but we think the Spark Classic card could be a great fit for your business. And there you can see on the left-hand side, the Spark Cash notified as declined and all faded out, while the Spark Classic, kind of their entry-level business card, was pre-approved. The limit I would have gotten there would have been $5,000, and the other terms are there too, like my APR, my annual fee, which would have been $0, etc. So I like how Capital One still considers you for other card products if they can't approve you for the one you truly applied for, but I did not want the Spark Classic card. And given that was my only other option, I decided to just scroll down and decline the offer and exit the application process, with a little bit of harm done, namely those two inquiries. But life goes on from there. A short time went by and I also received an email from Capital One notifying me again about my not so wonderful message of the denial. Thanks for taking the time to apply for the Spark Cash credit card. Unfortunately, we cannot approve your application, but they want me to understand why. Again, despite the bad news, I'm glad they still want to give me the reason right up front without having to wait online on the phone or anything. So there's a big green button on the screen, access my letter, and you know I tapped on that. That brought up my web browser with a few fields to fill out, my last four of my social, date of birth, and my zip code. I filled that info out, clicked on the button, and was brought to this dashboard called their Application Center, which is actually pretty nicely laid out, shows all the steps, and then shows my application status of denied. But quickly getting my eyeballs off of that nastiness, I saw there from the documents section, my adverse action letter. What a name they gave that. Anyway, I wanted to read my adverse action letter, so I clicked on the other button that says download my letter, and this is the beautiful thing that I saw here. And then right in the middle, the reasons for their denial decision. The first one was, based on your application information, the owner of this legal entity, the business, has too many new credit card accounts. And that's where the bullet point ended. It didn't say recently or in the past 6 months or 12 months or any sort of time frame whatsoever. Just that I currently have too many new accounts, whatever new means to Capital One's internal algorithm. Now, to me, when I hear new accounts, I'm typically thinking about a 6 to 12 month time frame. So I'm gonna go with the 12 here, and I counted everything up. Here are my new credit card accounts in the past 12. On the personal side, I opened 5 cards in that time frame, and 4 of those were reported, meaning showing on my credit report. The first 4 there, so Hilton Honors Surpass, 2 different Hawaiian airline cards, personal, the City Advantage Executive card, and my most recent Southwest Rapid Rewards Plus. That one still has not yet reported to the bureaus, so it's not on my report. Therefore, 4 new accounts are actually showing. Taking a look on over to the business side, 4 cards were opened. So the Amex Business Gold, Amex Business Platinum, US Bank Triple Cash Rewards, and the Wells Fargo Signify Business Cash. Now, all of these business cards from these banks do not show up on my personal credit report. So 4 opened, but 0 have been reported. Therefore, appearing on my credit report were just 4 newly opened accounts in the past 12 months. As you can now see here on the screen in a salmon color. Now, if you were to ask me, do I think 4 cards in 12 months is a lot of new accounts? The answer is no, but I do understand where Capital One's coming from. That's basically averaging 1 card every 3 months, if you space it out that way, and to a bank that is known to be more on the sensitive side for inquiries and newly opened accounts. At least I understand that. Now, with every credit card application, there's always a little bit of risk involved. You could be approved, denied, or even get that dreaded pending status where they need more time to review everything manually. But just like you took a risk on applying for that new credit card that you really wanted, you can do the same thing with starting a new business. And today's sponsor, GoDaddy Aero, can help you bring that idea to life faster than you ever thought possible. GoDaddy Aero is an all-in-one AI-powered solution that helps entrepreneurs and small business owners quickly establish and grow their online presence. To show you how it works, imagine starting a new bakery business. I chose bakery because I have a really big sweet tooth. Now watch how easy this is. You can start by typing a brief description of your idea. So I wrote, online bakery selling bite-sized, portion-controlled desserts with healthier, natural ingredients. Then you'll see a bunch of domain options to choose from. The Bite Bakery fit my concept perfectly, so I chose that. I then added a custom email address using that domain to give my future communications a professional look. Way better than using Gmail. Next, GoDaddy Aero creates a coming soon page for you. And then once you start building your full website, you can customize it in a variety of different ways by choosing a style that best suits your business idea. And guess what? It even has a built-in logo creator to give your up-and-coming brand a bunch of personality. Finally, after making any customizations that you like, you can publish the same day and continue building from there. Of all the web builders I've used over the years, this is the easiest one yet. So if you'd like to make this year the one in which you take that dream and turn it into something real, give GoDaddy Aero a try by scanning the QR code on the screen or using the link down below in the description. The world is waiting to see what you'll create. Now back to the rest of the video. Denial reason number 2. Based on your application information, the owner of this legal entity has too many credit card closures and recent inquiries given their business revenue. I found that context of given how much revenue your business makes, we find these accounts to be way too many. Again, no specifics were given here, so I can't say that the ratio is XYZ, but putting that revenue part aside, because that's totally, shooting in the dark for me, the card closures I found to be somewhat interesting. That had no time frame, it didn't even say recently or a specific time frame like 12 months, but then it did say recent inquiries. So making the best of what information they did give to me, here are my recent credit card closures. Even though there was no recent time frame, I'm gonna go all the way back to 12 months here. So on the personal side, I closed out 3. My PNC Cash Rewards, Amex Green Card, and Amex Gold. I have some duplicates of those Amex cards, so don't worry, I still have those cards open, but just not my duplicates. So those were all closed. On the business side, Hilton Honors Business Card. Like most Amex business cards, that one did not appear on my report ever. Appearing on my report, just 3 were shown as closed in a 12-month period, but who knows, their look-back period could have been many years. And if that's the case, then I have quite a few more. Now, what about those inquiries? They did mention recent inquiries here, so to me, me, again, it means 12 months, but I'm gonna go back even further and say 24 months because that's how long an inquiry lasts. So here are all three major credit reports: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Experian had 9 recent inquiries, TransUnion had 5, and Equifax had 1. But remember, Experian was frozen, therefore Capital One could only access TU and EQ, meaning their computer systems would have seen 5 inquiries on TU and 1 on EQ. And again, if you were to ask me, do I think that's a lot of inquiries? No. Taking the bigger number of 5 in the past 2 years, not such a big deal. But regardless, that was what my file was showing. However, there's a very interesting piece of information that I found out, and I kind of knew about, but I had to remind myself of, that you all need to understand very clearly as well. At the bottom of Capital One credit card applications, both personal and business, they have a section in this scrolly text box that says, I, as the business signer, or whatever the personal version would be, understand that I am not eligible for this offer if, and then a bunch of bullet points. And look what that last bullet point says. I'm not eligible for the offer if I have implemented a credit security freeze or credit lock with one or more of the credit bureaus, which prevents Capital One from accessing my credit report. And guess what? That's exactly what I did. And for all of you who remember this older video here, wow, apparently that was over 2 years ago and counting. Who would have thought? Anyway, this was for the personal application when I was applying for the Capital One Saver card, and I ran into this exact same problem. I froze Experian, applied for the Capital One Saver, or I guess Saver 1 as it was called back then, and while approved for the account to be opened with a new credit line, I received no welcome offer at all, which in that world tends to mean the lower tier version of it was approved, but not the Saver 1 with that 200 plus welcome offer, whatever it was. Kind of like how Capital One just approved me for a business credit card, but the one with no welcome offer attached to it. The common thread here between personal and business was that I had my Experian file frozen in both applications. Take note of that, everybody, for your applications too, and I'll remind you of this at the end as we wrap this up with some big conclusions. In the meantime, I then went back to Capital One's website and saw they have a pre-approval tool even on the business side. And I decided to give it a go. Here's the page that I saw next. See what cards you qualify for with no impact to your personal credit score. I'll then answer a few questions, select my pre-approved business card if any appear, and then finish my application. The first question was totally general here. What type of card am I interested in? You can even skip it if you don't want to do it. And then it has the regular stuff here like your name, email, phone number, a little bit of business info. You can see the different tabs there across the top. So I went through the process. And I came out on the other side with some pre-approved offers, which was great. It says, you're pre-approved, Jeffrey Reese. We reviewed your information and can pre-approve you for the following products today. Boom, boom, boom. What's the one on the far right? That Spark Classic, which they offered me the first time, so no surprise there. I then was approved for 2 higher tier cards. The Spark Miles Select, the travel one in the middle, and even the Spark Cash Select. And here's where this whole story turns weird real fast. First, some context. What is this Spark Cash Select? It's the, I guess, younger brother of the bigger 2 brothers, the no annual fee entry-level version of a more rewarding card that earns cash back. So we have the 1.5 Cash Select, then the bigger version is the 2% cash, and then the top tier, 2% Cash Plus. Yes, the names are totally confusing, and making that even worse, all the cards look identical. The Select doesn't even say Select on it. But the Select does come with a welcome offer to earn $500 after spending $4,500 in the first 3 months. And it also earns 1.5% cash back as the base earn on all purchases. And I found that both great and also a bit concerning because remember, if we go back to my first denial page for the Spark 2%, it did not even show me the Select version as an option. It was either nothing or the Spark Classic with no rewards, no bonus, etc. And this is where the weirdness slapped. You see this iPhone right here? On this iPhone, I have the Capital One app. And on the Capital One app, what do you all see here on the screen? I already have the Spark Cash Select card. Not sometime in the distant past when I was a young kid. Yet somehow, seemingly, I'm pre-approved to open up the card again right now. So despite my rapidly rising suspicions, I decided to go for it. But this time, learning a little bit of a lesson here. I went over to Experian.com and removed the freeze from my credit report so Capital One could access it. Because I sure wasn't going to have another 2 inquiries or potentially 3 go across my reports while knowing that I'm already at a disadvantage from having a freeze. So taking care of that, I then went back over to the pre-approval page and selected complete application. I then completed that application and submitted it. And this time I saw my alerts come through on my app again here. Capital One checked my credit through Experian recently. And interestingly, it was only Experian this time. It was not all 3 hitting at the same time. Maybe because Capital One already pulled the previous 2 earlier that same day, or maybe not. But regardless, it was just Experian because they apparently really wanted that score. And all the crazy details that I have hidden in that report. And what happened on the other side of this? I got freaking approved. Look at that. Congratulations. I'm approved for the Cash Select. Limit $20,000. APR 17.49%, which is irrelevant because I'm not going to carry a balance on this. And the new card will arrive in 7 to 10 business days. So what did I do next? Well, obviously I have to log into my Capital One account to see if the new card was there, along with my currently active Spark Cash Select, which, as I told you, is a real deal already. So logging in, and what do you know? Both are right there. The old one on the bottom with a balance of $40 that I still have to pay off here, and then my new one with a new shiny $0 balance and a message at the top of the screen that says, my new card is on its way and may have already arrived. It hasn't yet. This whole process has been so freaking weird that I actually need to get up and walk around for a second. Y'all still there? Okay. So I never thought something like this with Capital One would have ever been possible. Denials and credit bureau freezes and having the card and getting the same card without canceling the card and all this crazy stuff. But you know what? It is possible because I just did it, and you can too. So let's go over some major takeaways from this wild journey that we just went on together. Important takeaways. Number 1. If you want the best chance at getting approved for a Capital One credit card, personal or business, with a welcome offer, make sure all 3 bureaus are unfrozen. As I demonstrated in this video and that other one for the Capital One Saver over 2 years ago, it is possible to get approved for a Capital One credit card, even if you have one of your credit bureau reports frozen, but it is going to be probably unlikely that you'll get the offer associated with it. And who wants that? Well, there are some scenarios where that may make sense, but in general, you want that welcome offer. Number 2, use the pre-approval tool prior to applying to explore potential offers. It's because of that tool that I was able to see 3 potential offers versus just the 1 alternative that they gave me on the other side of being denied. It also could be entirely possible to get approved for a card that you weren't pre-approved for. And number 3 here, make sure you satisfy the known requirements on the application prior to applying. What am I referring to here? Specifically, these bullet points right here. The ones I mentioned earlier that are at the bottom of the application page, not on the landing page or anywhere else on the website. You gotta scroll all the way down on the application. There's a little text box. It's under important disclosures, by the way, is what the section's called. And you can scroll within that box to see this section. Right now, if I'm counting correctly, there are 12 bullet points, and some of this has changed actually from 2 years ago when I did the last video. And they could change in some way or have new ones added or be taken away in the future as well. So whenever you're watching this video and you're going to apply for a Capital One card, see whatever the known criteria are at the time, because it could save you a whole lot of hassle. And last but so far from least in this video, we still have the one big unknown. Could I have gotten approved for the Capital One Spark 2% cash? That was that $95 annual fee version with the welcome offer, which at the time was $1,000 of cash back after spending $10K in 90 days, if I had my Experian credit file unfrozen from the start. And you know what? I will never know. And that's because we can't repeat this exact same flow one more time, because now I've got more inquiries on my report, my score may have dropped a little bit, Capital One's algorithm may have gotten drunk or who knows what, but you can't replicate what just happened one more time. You'll recall the 2 denial reasons we mentioned earlier, and they had nothing to do at all with having one of my reports frozen. Too many new accounts, too many account closures, and too many new inquiries. But would any of those reasons have been a reason if they were able to pull Experian, which actually was a more busy, cluttered, higher inquiried report to begin with? In other words, were these 2 reasons given as a sort of substitute or second or third place in line as reasons simply because they couldn't get the full picture that they wanted? With all that said, it is my sincere hope that today's video was helpful for all of you, so that way if and when you decide to apply for a Capital One card, you'll be much more better equipped and know what to potentially anticipate as you go along through the process. And more importantly, hopefully be able to put the odds of approval more in your favor. Now, before you go, check out some awesome links and resources down below in the description. One of which is to sign up for my totally free credit card offer alerts. That way you'll be in the know about great welcome offers and also before they expire. There's another one to get started with GoDaddy Arrow to quickly establish and grow your online presence and bring your business ideas to life. And a bunch of other ones as well to earn more cash back, better interest on your savings, and more. And for today, we'll leave it at that. I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.